Hi, I'm Natalie, owner of the Sewing Studio, and today I get to show you one of our absolute favorite projects here at the Sewing Studio, and that is actually making our own shoelaces for our tennis shoes. And it's also another great way of showing off something that our sergers can do. Often we think that our serger is for one thing and one thing only, and we have created this really fun project. So let's go take a look at what we need to get together. Okay, so this project is actually very simple to put together. Let's start with the actual fabric for our shoelaces. We have cut a 2.5-inch strip of fabric and then take and iron that in half. And this is just the width of one piece of fabric. So it's about 42 to 45 inches long. And that works great for our tennis shoes. We didn't mind the length and we didn't feel like we needed to add any longer, but you could certainly splice two strips together before running it through the serger to make it a longer piece. So we have that one piece. And then at the end of the shoelaces are these pieces called aglets, and aglets come in kits of different colors that you can get with this device called the aglet clamp. And we will have a link in our blog and in the comments of this video that will take you to a link to get those pieces to add to this project. So let's go over to the serger and take a look at the settings that we need to put on our serger, and then run our fabric through to get that nice rolled hem on each side. Okay, so we are going to use our Baby Lock Victory today. It's one of our absolute favorite sergers here in the shop, and what's really convenient is they come with this quick threading card, and today we're going to be using the 3-thread overlock narrow hem. And what's really nice is it tells us exactly what we need to set all of the knobs on our serger to get the stitch that we want to look at. All right, so a couple of things that we need to make sure that we have set. And on the machine, we are only going to be using the right needle. And then here on our length, we want to make sure that our length is set all the way down to the rolled hem settings, and then down to 0.75 all the way up to 1.5. And we have it just rolled all the way down to the edge of where the gray markings start. We also need to set our width to 3, and that's on the knob, the smaller knob at the top. And there's a 5.5 and a 3 that are right next to each other, and we're looking at that smaller 3 because we're using a right needle. And then over here on the settings, we want to make sure that our stitch selector is set to C, and on the front that we have this lever set here in the middle at N. So that way we have the rolled hem that we need to create. So just quickly before we run that rolled hem seam down both sides of our fabric, I did want to make sure that I showed you that we have 3 different spools of thread that are sitting up here. We have the 2 loopers and then that other thread, and we've put 3 different colors in, and what that does is just give us a different color on the top and the bottom, and that third one is in the center and you're not really going to see it. So the 2 that we'll see are the pink and the blue, and the purple is going to be in the center. All right, so then as we're adding the fabric into the serger, we're going to serge down the folded edge first. And you do want to make sure that you're running it through the blade a little bit to make sure that you're cutting off. If you don't, what ends up happening is sometimes you don't catch it and the rolled hem makes these little loops outside of our fabric. So you do want to make sure that you're cutting off just a little bit of that fabric. And I tend to just kind of run it down the edge of this plate so that it gives me somewhere straight to line up with. Then after we run down that side, we're just going to flip it over and then do the same thing to the other side, creating that rolled hem on both sides. So let's take a look at adding that rolled hem. To the end, you have a cutter over here on the side of the machine, so we'll cut it off. And then just like that, we have a rolled hem down that one side of our fabric to create the first part of our shoelace, and then now we're just going to run down the other side as well. To start, just make sure that you're tucking it under your presser foot. On the back of the machine is a lever to lift up your presser foot, so I'm just kind of sliding it underneath and up against the blade that sits right here to start, and the machine itself will pull the fabric in. So all we are is guiding it. We're not trying to press it or pull it. Okay, so we've added a 3-thread overlock narrow hem to both sides of our fabric, and then you just want to make sure that you kind of inspect it all the way down and make sure that the thread caught the fabric. Again, that's why we kind of moved it over and lined it up with the edge of our table here to make sure that that didn't happen. So then all we have left is to add the aglets to the ends. So I'm going to take it back over to the cutting mat and show you how I add the aglets. Now that we've added the 3-thread overlock narrow hem to both sides of our fabric, I'm going to take and just cut off the salvage part, since I did run it the full width of a strip of fabric, so that we don't have that raw edges showing, and then it cleans up the ends of that piece. And then what I have found easiest to do when adding these aglets, they come with this little slit that the fabric sits down into, and this is larger than where it goes into the piece. So I just take and roll it from one side to the other very tightly into kind of like a cinnamon roll would look on the end, and then taking that rolled hem and laying it in the bottom edge of where these aglets fit. So I lay it face down in there, and it seems to lay a little bit better. And then we're just going to force all that fabric inside of where it clamps, making sure to kind of get it all the way into the end here. And some of the strings are going to shoot out the end of it, but after we clamp it, we can trim those with a pair of scissors. So then with this clamp, what you're going to do, kind of have to work it with one hand and then hold it with the other, but it kind of has this piece in here that has a divot in it, and this aglet sits down inside of that, and then you're just cramping onto the top of that. So just kind of make sure that that's staying face up, and then you're just closing that all the way, and it should kind of snap closed. Okay, and then all we have to do is release it, and that went all the way shut. I do notice sometimes though that the back doesn't get cramped as well, so I just move it a little bit further in and then clamp it again. Okay. All right, and then we do have a few of those straggling threads that are left out, and so we just trim those nice and even. How simple is that to put together? We absolutely love making shoelaces. They make the cutest accessory to any pair of sneakers. One thing that I wanted to mention before I go is that as you're pulling your fabric through the eyelets of your tennis shoe, make sure that you try to pull more on the fabric and not on the end of the aglet, because it can slide off. We've not had that problem a lot, but we have had a couple of people mention that to us, and that may have been that they didn't get the aglet cramped down on the fabric as well as it needed to be either. So, but just a really cute accessory to any pair of sneakers. If you liked what you saw today, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And if you want to receive those notifications, make sure you click on the bell icon. Thanks for letting us turn your inspiration into a creation.